Hi, everyone. So today we are going to talk about time. There, oh my watch, time. So I think maybe the most popular reason that people give for not wanting to do something that they know could benefit them so much is they don't feel like they have the time. It might be the most popular, even more so than money. I'm not sure, but it's certainly up there. So I figured the four of us would just go around and talk about how we solve that problem, because that is a big problem to solve. And before we get started, let's just introduce ourselves very quickly, because I know people's attention span is very short. I'm Tom, that's Chelley, that's Kelly, and that's Karen. So now that we're all introduced, we can all say something about ourselves as each of us talk about this time thing, so that we don't lose people with the attention span of a goldfish.
What? Squirrel? Squirrel?
Okay, so I'll go first. I'll talk about my own experience and how I solve this problem of time, and how I help other open individuals who's looking at this get past this problem of time. So one, it's important to understand one reason that a lot of people are looking at something like this is because they love the idea of time freedom. Like the financial freedom translates to, I have more free time. And a lot of people are working 2 or 3 jobs and they've got a family life and they got all this stuff going around. And so when they're looking at something like a Beachbody thing or anything, all they see in their head is, this is going to take me more time that I do not have. So I just don't have the time. So that's how people look at it. And unfortunately, that's a very employee-driven way to look at it, because we're trained and conditioned our entire lives, perhaps no fault of our own, to equate time to money. You get paid by the hour. You make X amount of dollars per hour, or you make salary, you make X amount of dollars per year. That's all based on time. No consideration for value. It's all time. So we're going to flip that on its head in an experience like this. And so you're learning hungry to learn. You have to be hungry to learn. People that don't like to learn are screwed here. But for somebody that's really hungry and craving to learn, you learn about value. And if you're trading value for money instead of time, well, now you can cut your work time in half. You can work less hours and make more money. Cut your hours down to 4 hours from 80 hours and multiply your income by 7. That possibility is totally there if you learn about value. And I'm not going to get into that right now. So when I'm talking to somebody who says, I'd love to, but I just don't have the time, my simple question is this: a year from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, are you going to be in the same boat of you don't have any time? Do you have a plan? Are you doing something right now? Do you see yourself a year from now, 5 years from now, having more time? And for most people, the answer is no, I have no plan. Nothing is ever going to change because I'm not doing anything different. You know, if somebody's being honest. And so then that's my opportunity to come back and say, that's kind of what I thought. I was in the same position. And that's one of the things that really attracted me to this thing, because I saw the possibility of being able to get my time back, my life back. So based on what you said, I'd really like to show you a video or whatever I'm going to show them. I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time. I'm not going to send you anything too lengthy because I know time is a thing. Would you be open to watching it if, say, you saw something and it could equip you to have more free time a year from now versus what you have today? And obviously that's a solid, yeah, okay, I got 5 minutes or whatever to watch a video, get some info to see if I see something that's going to give me more of my life back, because I have no plan right now. And if things keep going the way that they're going, I'm just going to be bitching about no time a year from now. So that's sort of the conceptual idea there of how I help the open-minded people get past that hang-up about time, as to just throw a wrench in that circular pattern, that perpetual hamster wheel of having no time. And it's as easy as that. So we'll just go around now. You guys got stuff you want to add to that, please.
Sure. My big thing. Oh, I'm there. Do I sound weird to you guys too?
Nope.
Okay.
No weirder than usual.
It's like, yeah, well, that's true. But like everything I'm saying, I'm hearing back. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't doing that on the recording.
No.
When, like for me personally, you know, I have 3 kids, 3 very busy kids. And when I first heard about it, that was my excuse. I'm a mom, I'm too busy, I can't do it, I don't have time. It's very, you know, easy to say. Because most of us think, well, it's going to take this much of our day. And what we don't realize is once you get this down, you can do an hour a day and still make traction, but it doesn't need to be 60 minutes in a row. There's a coach that I know that was a full-time nurse that jokes about she's retired from nursing now, does this full-time because she built her business in the bathroom. Like every time she could take a pee break, she was on her phone and did it 2 minutes at a time, 2 minutes at a time. So it's not, don't think of it as I'm going to have a solid block in my day to do this. If you are sitting in the pickup line at school, you can get on your phone for 5 minutes and answer messages while you're not driving, while you're sitting still in the pickup line, you know, like stuff like that. You can find pockets of time to make it work. And I try to get that across because a lot of us think, oh, an hour a day, I'm going to have to say it's 10 from 10 to 11 or 11 to 12. No, it can be 2 minutes here, 5 minutes here, as long as they are legitimate, focused minutes, they count.
I have a question, Chelley. This nurse that you're talking about, I love that story. Did she say how long it took her to build it up to a 6-figure business, doing it 2 minutes at a time? Was it
I don't
a year?
remember off of the top of my head, but I know that she hasn't been doing it that long. So if I had to wager a guess, I would say a couple of years, but I don't remember.
That's pretty cool.
The time frame.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It goes along with what I said about versus, you know, the employee mindset of more time equals more dollars. Well, with this, and this person is the epitome of what I'm talking about, value, 2 minutes at a time, and she's making more now than she was, and it took her a couple of years to do it, we think, approximately. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
If you want to make more money at a job, well, you got to work more hours. So instead of 40, you got to do 50 or 60 or 70. And this is different. You cut it in half and multiply it. That's the possibility is here for that. And I love her story.
I do too. That's why I had to share it, because it's a perfect example of how to make it work. You know.
Right.
Yeah, it's a great story. And if she did it in 2 years, great. But you know what? If she did it in 3 or 5, it's just as good a story. And you know, it's a very strong argument for drinking half your body weight in ounces of water a day.
Yes,
because more pee breaks, more opportunity to build your business.
That's good. That is very good.
I think, unfortunately, as a nurse, though, you don't get that many opportunities, no matter how bad you have to go.
Well, that's true. That's true. But
you got to go. You got to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I guess I'm not a nurse.
Well, Karen, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's a really good book to read for time management. I haven't read it, but The 4-Hour Work Week.
Mm-hmm.
You guys familiar with that book?
Yeah, great book.
You know, me, sometimes if it's a workout and I know it, right, I'll have it either on my phone or on my computer, and I'll have the TV on, and I will work out while I watch TV. And it's not a movie or something where you have to you want to watch the picture, but it could be something like, you know, Real Time with Bill Maher, or Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, you know, or show that I record, Stephen Colbert. So, you know, when it's talking, but I'm doing my workout. So I could be just, you know, couch potato and watching TV, or I could do my workout.
To add to that, personal development, you know, they say turn drive time, instead of listening to whatever's popular on the radio, Drive Time University, put in some personal development. The same thing could be true for your workouts. You can do the personal development portion of it while you're working out.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's a good idea too. And also, you know, I see people tell me they don't have time, yet they're on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you realize, or you don't realize, that Facebook could be a time waster.
And one of my coaches has a pretty good response to that. She says to people that spend all their time on Facebook, when was the last time being on Facebook paid you anything? And obviously the answer for most people is never. So that could be a doorway into this. And so this is another great example. One of my things, some people whenever it's appropriate, I'll be like, well, how much time do you spend a day on Facebook and social media, or just online on the internet, and doing things that isn't paying your bills or putting food on the table? And for some people, that's hours a day, or an hour, or whatever. It's like, well, what if you took half of that time and you devoted it to profit-producing activities? Where would you be a year from now? And it's like, that could be the thing for some people that gets them to start thinking outside of what they're used to thinking about.
And that can remember the compound. So everything that you do compounds. There's a good book too, The 50-Second Rule by Mel Robbins, and you just, you know, you don't even think. You just do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you do it before your brain has a chance to talk you out of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's another great book too. Kill Procrastination.
Yeah.
Like Eat That Frog. That's
Yeah,
like the simplest concept
one.
ever that, you know, just to, for the people that aren't familiar with it, the basic idea of the book is every day when you wake up, picture that you have to eat a frog, and that's like the most disgusting, horrible thing that you would have to do. And you do it first because then you get it out of the way, and that's the way it is with your business. You do the stuff. For me personally, even a few years in, like sending invites is still my
your frog.
Like my frog, exactly.
So you got to do invites first thing.
Exactly. If I get up and without even like letting my brain start going down that path, I just do it, then the rest of the time I can, you know, do the fun stuff, you know, that's fun to me. Some people,
right.
You know, someone loves inviting people, but you know, that's fun to him. But for me, it's like, you know, I don't know why. I know no one's going to come through the computer and eat me, but still, I'm scared.
And the invite could be a good thing to break up. Do a few here, then later, you know, do a few later. Because, like, if you don't want to send too many invites at once, because Facebook doesn't like it, too many messages going at once. So, you know, if you do a little bit of the invites at a time, you know, like break it up into 3 or 4 times throughout the day.
Eat a flipper at a time.
You know what? There's also another concept I've been thinking a lot about lately. And this goes back to when I first joined 10 years ago. I remember a philosophy that was going around when I signed up 10 years ago is you don't have to make extra time to do Beachbody. You just do Beachbody while you're out. And so I've expanded on that idea. Like, you know, the common thing back then is like if you're at, I don't know, at the checkout line at the grocery store, you can strike up a conversation with people online, inform them, get to the message part, connect with them from there. But I'm also thinking like I can get up, and I do this all the time. I'm waiting in line wherever. I get out my smartphone, I send some invitations out. Well, this is something I was going to be doing anyway. I was going to be standing in line somewhere doing this or that. So while I'm standing there, instead of just waiting, checking my watch, send out a few invitations. And I can send out 5 invitations or so, because smartphones these days, they have clipboards just like a computer does. You can copy the same message and send it to, you know, a few people or so while you're waiting in line somewhere at the checkout for the grocery store. So that's just one of many. I'm sort of putting together a document, a list of examples of things that a person can do to build their business without taking any time outside of their day to do it. And someday I'll probably have a full training about that very concept, like build your business in 0 minutes. I don't know what to call it yet. Knowing me, I'll probably put something like that together. Right now, I'm actually putting one together that I think I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but so far I like the name Build an Online Business in 5 minutes a day, or I'm calling it the 5-minute Business Action Plan. That's what I'm calling it, about the 5-minute Business Action Plan. And that's basically all my trainings and all the action steps are going to be able to be done in 5 minutes or less. So I'm putting that together right now. And I think that's going to be really cool, because then I'll be able to use that for people, and so will all of you for that matter. It's like someone says they don't have time, you could be like, well, you got little 5-minute blocks of time? And who knows, if they're being sincere with you and they're being honest, then it could be something to inspire some people to come on over with us and start solving that problem of having no time, if they can build it in 5-minute blocks. And we got that story about the nurse. We have my story. Mine was about 20 minutes a day, and most of the time, to be honest with you, was broken up into blocks of 5 or 10 minutes at a time. So it's really valuable when we're talking to people who are being honest with us and they want to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm. And you can build this business in blocks of time, and part of that is just being practical and teaching people or showing people, demonstrating to people providing them with a tool or showing them how to discover that they do have that time. And,
Yeah.
and that's by actually, taking the time, taking 5 minutes, every, the day before your new week starts at the very latest to time block.
Do it in the bathroom.
Do
People
it in
have
the
a job.
bathroom. See, it's pea colored right there.
Exactly. Oh my God, I got to remember that when I'm doing my training about the pea-colored stuff. Because I talk about the bathroom in this training that I'm doing because of the RN, the registered nurse. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, just go take bathroom breaks at work. You got your smartphone on you anyway, and your work is the thing that is sucking up most of your time, even more than your family time. Your jobs, 2 or 3 jobs, is sucking up most of your time. You go to the bathroom a few times while you're at your job. Perfect opportunity to start building a business
Yeah,
with residual income, so that
Right.
so that you'll emerge at some point in the future no longer needing that job. It'll be optional.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's perfect.
you're just missing the brown spots.
Right. Just Mr. Brown spots.
You're right.
But
You're right, Karen. Nobody can argue that.
yeah,
Hey,
it's
Uh,
what do you do in the bathroom? That's the way this conversation's going. Oh my goodness.
We've covered number 1 and now number 2.
She still got her mic off. Right. But when I first got into this business, I didn't know how I drove myself crazy trying to find the time to build it, to do my personal development, to invite people, to create content, to figure out social media, all the stuff that goes into, running a Beachbody business. And I was really resistant to doing time blocking. And I can't remember. I think it was actually a post that I saw Jennifer put up. Chelley, you're Jennifer.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Put up about how, I think it was a link to an article about how to time block, and how people who actually practice this discovered that they actually had anywhere between 20 and maybe 40 hours every single week of unproductive time. And that, for some reason, the light bulb went off, and that's when I decided to try this. So I set up, I just hand drew this little form, and I copy it on the copy machine. And every single week, without fail, I fill in everything, all of my commitments, everything that I have to do, including my meals when I eat. And it was the most amazing discovery that I do, in fact, have somewhere between 20, 25, 30, 40, sometimes 45 hours of free time when I can actually build my business, create content, reach out to people, develop relationships, all that stuff.
That is so cool.
It is so cool because until you do this, and so I make people do this, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But maybe if you plant this seed down the road, that'll be something that they'll remember that you did for them, and that'll bring them back to you.
That could be a training video, Kelly.
It could be a training video.
And then you make that training video with the story behind it so that it relates to people.
Okay, excellent. Good idea.
If you want to, I encourage it. I think you should.
Okay.
And I think it's neat that you got that idea from Jen, because the journal, it's out in the living room, so I can't get it right now, but the journal that I use every week and then do my listen every day was a gift from her. And it's like a
cool
journal for the year. So I go and I actually have a different colored pen for each kid, and I write who needs to be where, when, because it's crazy sometimes, but even with all of the craziness, there's still blocks of time available. So sometimes you need to see it in front of your face for it to click.
Yeah, and once I did this once, I'm a very visual person. I have to see things. it made total sense to me. And if you taught this skill to someone, even if they found out that they actually had no time, it would still help them organize their lives, and it would help them to have less stress, trying to make their lives work, and putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So
absolutely. I feel that way about lists too. My brother, I'm so proud of my little brother. He doesn't keep lists. And I was telling him, Jay, you got to keep a list. This is why you're overwhelmed. His name is Jay, by the way, in case you hadn't figured that out. So I'm like, you got to keep a list. That's why you're so overwhelmed. And he's like, yeah, I'll try. I'm like, no, there is no try. You're either going to keep a list or you're not. There's no, what are you talking about, this try stuff? And then I guess he was listening to me. I didn't think he was going to do it, but he called me the next day. He actually wrote it down on a piece of paper. And he was so proud of himself. He checked everything off and he wasn't stressed. I'm like, yes.
Oh, I love it. That's so satisfying when you check something off and you just see that it's done. I love it.
And he felt good about it. I could hear it in his voice, and he wasn't stressed, and like he usually isn't overwhelmed, and this defeatist attitude was gone. He felt really good about it. And I was like, wow, I'm so proud of him.
That's awesome.
Well, sometimes people make a list like, okay, I got to pick up the dry cleaning. I have to, go to the drugstore. I have to take the dog to the vet. I mean, I'm sure that everybody at some point in their life has made a to-do list of, so that's really not any different.
No, some people never make a list. It's like they make an appointment with the doctor over their phone. Yeah, okay, Tuesday, 3 o'clock. Okay, cool. And they hang up, and they either remember it because they have nothing else going on, which is true for a lot of people. But then, unexpected things might happen where 2 or 3 things stack up on top of that one thing, and suddenly they forget before they know it. They have those moments of busyness where normally there's really nothing going on. There's just average and boring, not to judge them, but average and boring. But then once in a while, life happens, and it throws different things at you, and then they forget to get it because they never wrote it down. And then they get overwhelmed, and all those feelings come in of defeatism and so forth.
That's why I have no alarms on this thing and reminders, because I need that to help me stay organized. And I don't have it at the moment, but they do have an app where you can make a list that allows you to touch the screen and check it off.
Right, I've seen those. I've seen lots
so
of.
If you're not a pen and paper person, like I'm great at making lists and then forgetting where I put it. So if it's in my phone, you can bet this is always, I know where this is. So
I'm like that with my calendar. I sync my phone up to Google, so that way it's on my phone. It's also on my computer, so no matter what, I got my list because it's all synced. Or not my list, my calendar. My list, however, I'm still writing it down, and I can put that in my pocket. Like a calendar, I can't really put in my pocket, so it's great that I can sync everything up with Google. But a list, I can just fold it up and take it with me. No big deal. So I just pen and paper on that one.
Yep. Whatever works for you.
Yeah, of course. Life is a series of figuring things out.
Trial and error.
When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
They make lists.
You figure it out and make lists. Makes it easier.
Yes.
I think list writing is really kind of a two-phase thing. You teach people to make lists because they need to make lists to be organized. But then to even lower the stress level, you need to teach them not to make such long lists for each and every day, and or maybe to make the list so that the priorities are at the top and the things that don't really matter or matter least are towards the bottom. So
what my best friend taught me, not to interrupt, I'm sorry, was pick 3 things and never make more than 3 things. Now, the 3 things can't be for me, I can't have empty the dishwasher. I do that every single day. That doesn't count. Those things don't. But the things that are not in your daily thing, 3. And then when you're done those 3, you can do 3 more. But you're not allowed to because I'd make a list of 50 things and go, that's too much. I'm scared and I'm overwhelmed and run away and not do anything. But 3 is digestible. So you start there and then you do 3 more. 3 more.
Here's a helpful hint, a very helpful nuance, by the way, speaking of lists and priorities and merging the 2 ideas, lists and priorities. So when you're making a list out, you make your list and you start looking at things and you decide each and every one of them, does this really line up with my priorities that are suffering right now? Right now, my life is out of balance. My priorities aren't really happening for me. I'm writing down my list one by one. Does this line up with my priorities that are suffering? Cross all of it off, except for the things that do line up with it. And when it comes to Beachbody, the profit-producing daily core of activities has to line up with the priority, right? Because of lack of time, lack of money, lack of health, whatever. So like inviting has to be at the top of the list. Finding people, expanding your contacts has to be at the top of the list. And producing attractive content to generate new leads. It's like those three things. Those are three big things that should be up there. Doing your workout, drinking Shakeology, top of the list. And then other things from there, like, I don't know, family stuff that might be priority, top of the list. The spiritual side, top of the list. And then after all of that, then it's like, I don't know, volunteering at the kids' Little League game. That may not be something you need to do if there's literally no more time to do other things, because most days of the week, we don't have enough time in the day to do everything that's on our list. So maybe the volunteer work that I'm doing might have to go, or watching my favorite show on cable television might have to go, because my priorities are suffering right now, and I haven't earned the right to be able to do these luxury things. So I'm going to get my priorities in balance, and then later on I can add those other things back in once I've earned the right to do so. And that can be a really tough conversation to have with oneself. But for the people that are willing to do it, could be very worthwhile down the road, because you take care of those priority things. Profit-producing activities builds a residual income. You're going to have more time for other things, the volunteer work stuff, or whatever else it could be.
Right. So you give up things like, and my husband and I have done this. We used to watch TV and have dinner every single night. Now we have what we call working dinners, where we sit at the dining room table. He's an author. He works on his business, and
That's cool.
I work on my business, and then we can also help each other out with each other's businesses if there's issues or things that arise. So and I've heard of I've read and heard of extreme folks. They give up their cable. They give up all of the distractions. Yeah, I mean they cancel their cable. Anything superfluous and extraneous. And when they earn the right to bring it back into their lives, because they are only working that 4-hour work week or whatever the case may be, then they bring it back into their lives because they've earned it. It's like a treat.
You know what? Speaking of cable television, that costs people an hour or 2 or 3 a day. And money-wise, it costs them, I forget what the average was. I once looked this up, but it was well over $100 cable bill a month for the average family.
Yep.
So in terms of time and money, their ability to build a residual income with the Beachbody business is already right there. They just have to give up the cable television, and that's going to open up the time and the money, just that one thing alone, that one thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, people really struggle with giving that up. Because they say, well, my life is so hard, I have so little enjoyment as it is, and you want to take away the one thing, that brings me joy. But what they don't realize is it doesn't really bring them joy. It just brings them temporary.
Well, here's how I personally like to combat that, because that's true, and we have to recognize that. And I totally understand. I'm addicted to my shows or whatever the case may be. But here's the deal. Your priorities are suffering. You said you wanted to be able to do this and this and this, and just repeat that back to them. Which one is more important to you? And just let them say whatever. Is it their cable TV, or is it their priorities that are suffering? And so, if they're honest, they're going to say, well, geez, my priorities that are suffering. And then you can be like, well, if you want to, we can bring those priorities back. And then we're not saying you have to give up cable forever, just maybe temporarily, and then bring that back in once your priorities are in order.
Yeah.
So you're not taking it away from them for good. You're getting them to think about what their priority is, and that they can bring this back. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just not time right now to devote to cable television. And
when they bring it back in, it's almost like it's Christmas again. It's like a reward, a present, a prize. It could be a really positive thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's like having your cake and eating it too. It's just a matter of, are you willing to delay some gratification? Because cable TV isn't bad. I don't want to take that away from you, but you have your priority that's more important than cable TV, but you really love your cable TV. So let's just not do the cable TV thing for a while and then bring it back once your priorities are good. How does that sound? I mean, who's going to say, oh, that sounds bad?
It sounds a lot better. It sounds a lot better than you asking me to give up my Starbucks, Tom.
Well, what's your priority, Kelly?
Well, see, in my family, I'm not the only one.
I have a Keurig, so I don't go to Starbucks. But anyway, well,
my business.
Not never, but
yeah. But that being said, I've given it up for myself. I don't watch TV at all during the day. Like, it doesn't come on. When I get up, the news is usually on because Dave has it on, but he goes to work. I shut it off. I go do my workout, and it's not on the rest of the day. So being that I have a big family, you know, like there's other people involved in that decision. But I personally have cut it out of my own so that I can focus. You know the word I'm thinking of.
I never brought mine back. I mean, I don't even have a TV anymore, which really surprised me, man. I figured for sure I'd bring it back into my life, but I just haven't.
Yeah.
So, but if I wanted to, that's the point. I could bring it back. I can bring it back and watch more than I watched before, but I just don't want to. So in the end of the day, it's about freedom.
But I just know there's other people like me who have the husband that loves the sports and the kids that have their shows that would be like, are you crazy? So I'm just saying, for me personal responsibility with my business, I've cut it out of my daily routine.
Yeah,
and I can still be in the living room while they're doing their thing. I put my headphones in. I'm on my, you know. So.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're totally right.
But I cut out getting my nails done.
Perfect. You're totally right, Chelley. 100% right. No, you are. I mean,
this time I am. No.
Well, the cool thing about doing what you do, Chelley, is that even though, you know, no one else is quote unquote technically giving up their cable or their shows, you're setting an example for them. And that's going to trickle down. It's imperceptible probably at this point, but at some point, you know, on a subconscious level, they're going to go, wow, mom gave up her shows to focus on something that she really loves and that's her passion. And, you know, maybe watching TV incessantly isn't the way to be happy and to achieve my goals and whatever the case may be. So
I have a friend who also happened to be a customer. She wasn't really interested in the business, but Kelly, along the lines of what you just said, she was training to run a marathon or some type of running gig. And she decided to be transparent about it in front of her son because I guess her son was kind of lazy, didn't want to pay the price for things that were worthwhile, you know, in terms of effort, blood, sweat, and tears. And so she just put on full display her bad days, her good days, and everything that went into it. And her son saw it, and she told me it had a positive effect on her son. And then he started thinking about what he wanted. And then he started thinking about, some things are going to suck to get what I want, but it's worth it. So he started going through the deal of, you know, sacrifices and delayed gratification and all that because his mom was totally honest with him about her struggles and how it was worth it in the end, you know, from a health and fitness perspective.
Right. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, we have 1:15. So
we sure do. Well, I guess we should end this. I introduced it, so
we didn't even hear from Lisa.
Well, she's got her mic. I'm assuming she doesn't want to because it's muted. But at less than a minute, there's not really an opportunity anymore. So I'm glad she's here.
No, but this is. I think this is for not knowing what we were actually going to talk about at the get-go and being a little unsettled about that. I think we've had a really excellent conversation. It's probably one we could talk about. You know, I think there's a lot more to talk about on this topic, and maybe we'll do that in another show. But yes, Tom?
every topic we can do endless shows about, just so you know.
Yeah, that's true. But this has been episode 11 of Get the Skinny on Beachbody Coaching Weekly Chat. And that's pretty darn exciting. Next week will be episode 12, and I expect it to be pretty darn exciting as well. So until then, for all of you who are watching this, thanks you very much. And for